toxins in them. Chocolate, raisins, macadamia nuts. Many people don't realize that these are toxic to our pets, and they're commonly found in edibles. So, save the edibles for yourself. If you want to use edibles, either make them comparable to how Robin recommended or buy them already made. There's quite a few edibles available containing CBD in the marketplace these days. So, Gary, why don't you share with us a little more information about what types of cannabis for pets you recommend?
Sure. There are all forms of cannabis out there that pets can take, pretty much the same spectrum of things as would be the case with people. So there's the dried herb material, so flowers. Those can be administered to pets. But my personal favorite are liquids. So be it a tincture or a liquid extract of some other kind.
Mine too.
The great thing about liquids is that if you know what the concentration of the liquid is, you can very, very carefully and accurately modulate the dose. So if need be, you can give just a little bit more or just a little bit less. It gives you a lot of flexibility in the dosing. As Rob was saying, there are certainly edibles out there. There are companies now that are making edibles specifically for pets. They come as biscuits, as chews, as little cookies, what have you. But again, as Rob was saying, it's critically important never to give an edible made for a person to a dog or a cat or an animal of any kind, partially because of the concern with toxins like raisins and those sorts of things. But equally as important, most edibles for people are incredibly strong, and there would be just no way to accurately dose a dog or a cat in any safe or effective way. Rob, I think you had a successful case that you wanted to talk about as well.
I do, but first I'd like to interject a comment into what you were just saying, which is that, with people, we have kids and we have adults, and they're pretty much one size fits all. With pets, we've got parakeets, we've got chihuahuas, we've got, super big mastiffs, and that's why using the liquid tinctures is so much easier to scale those dosages up depending on what the size of the animal is.
There's so much flexibility there.
There really is. And so you can start low and work your way up. So anyway, sorry for the digression, but let me tell you a little about Chippy. Chippy came to me. His parents were thinking that they may have to put him to sleep. He's a 14-year-old male Mini Poo. He had severe arthritis. As you can see from the photograph I have here, he could barely get up. And he had laryngeal paralysis. Laryngeal paralysis is something where your vocal cords don't open, so you don't get enough air into your lungs. And in an emergency condition, you can actually suffocate from that. And normally you can tell they have laryngeal paralysis because they make this hoarse kind of, can I do it? This hoarse kind of roar kind of sound. So, but take them to your vet if you hear something like that going on. When you would get close to Chippy, he had this smelly mouth. He had terrible dental disease, which is not uncommon for these older dogs. But it was so severe that not only were his teeth loose, but it hurt him to eat as well. He would walk around the house dropping poop and dribbling urine because he had spinal cord issues. That's why he has a diaper on. He had urinary and fecal incontinence. And this guy was already on 5 drugs, and obviously they were not working well enough. His parents came to me because I do this holistic practice. They were hoping I had some rabbit I could pull out of my hat and help them because they're desperate. They didn't want to have to say goodbye, but the poor guy's suffering, and there comes a time for all of us where we have to start thinking about that. And, when you're considering euthanasia, you need to think about things like, how many good days are they having versus bad days? For Chippy, he had many more bad days than good days. He was losing his vision. He was becoming deaf. In fact, his arthritis was so severe that when he went to defecate normally, versus the walking pooper, he couldn't stoop to defecate. So he was just too painful. And because of his spinal cord issues, he'd be dragging his rear paws on the floor. It was, he had a lot of problems. He really did.
Yeah, that's got to be tough to watch.
It is. It really is, especially if it's your 14-year-old four-legged child, And his owner said he used to be a chow hound. They'd go into the kitchen, open that bag, man, he'd come running, Now he could care less about the food. But most importantly, he was falling down a lot between the spinal cord issues, between the severe arthritis, between his deficiency in vision and hearing. He was falling down. His owners were worried that he would hurt himself. And that's why they came to me, hoping I could help them with something. And, I thought, well, this is an older dog, and I've been seeing some good results with my hemp-based products, so I suggested they get started with some hemp-based CBDs. A very small dosage for this guy, half a mg per kilogram, or a 5/100th of a milligram per pound, 1 drop twice daily. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but 5 days later, his mom calls me up and goes, Dr. Silver, I can't believe it. He's doing so well that they actually were able to already reduce some of the dosage of his steroid from 3 times a day to 2 times a day.
Well,
so
that's amazing.
Obviously, yeah, we were all very happy about it, and he still is doing quite well. So as we're nearing the end of this talk we're giving, Gary, let's go ahead and summarize and let the people know what are the points we think they should walk away with. Okay?
Sure, I think that's a great idea. So really, when a pet owner is thinking about, can I use cannabis in my pet safely and effectively, there's really just a few important things to remember. The first one is always consult with your veterinarian. There's never a reason to keep a secret from your veterinarian about any medication or supplement that you may be giving. At the very least, your veterinarian might be able to help you with a dosing calculation. At most, if they're familiar with cannabis, they may actually be able to give you some guidance as far as what the best product might be. When looking for a cannabis product for your pet, you really need to know 2 critical pieces of information. You need to know the THC to CBD ratio. That's the relative amount of THC and CBD in any given product, because different ratios are going to be used to treat different conditions. So it's really important to know that. Equally as important is that you know exactly how many milligrams of each THC and CBD are present in the product. And without both of these pieces of information, there's going to be no way that you can safely dose a pet. That said, there are some products out there that have that are labeled specifically for pets, so they have instructions on the label. Hopefully, the instructions are accurate, but that's going to be a really easy way for pet owners to get started. And then lastly, we said this a little bit before, dogs and cats are not small people. And please do not attempt to dose your pet by just kind of down extrapolating a dose of medicine and assuming that that's going to work. It's a recipe for disaster and almost certainly a trip to the emergency room. So really that kind of brings us to some take-home messages. So why don't you get started?
Okay. Well, I think, first of all, we've established definitely that cannabis has effectiveness when used properly in our pets.
And as would be the case with any medication or any supplement, learn more. Educate yourself before starting to use cannabis on your pet so you know what to do and what to expect.
The best medicine is education, isn't it?
To be sure.
And as Gary said just before, you need to know what you're giving. You need to know what that THC to CBD ratio is and how many milligrams are present of each in order to effectively and safely dose your pet.
And when you're thinking about dosing, as has been said multiple times today, start slow. Always start at a low dose. It's the safest thing to do. You're going to really, really limit the possibility of there being an adverse effect. And as you slowly increase the dose, what you're ultimately going to do is you're going to find out what the most effective dose is for your pet. There's really no hurry here.
And avoid giving edibles for people to your pets. Eat them yourselves.
And as I said before, please share this information with your veterinarian, not only for the benefit of your pet, but also for the benefit of others. If your veterinarian is not educated or not well versed in the use of cannabis in pets, you going to them and having this conversation with them will be a really good a really good moment for your veterinarian to start to think about learning more and being able to educate other pet owners about the benefits.
Many of the veterinarians that I know are thirsting for more knowledge about cannabis.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that want to know, and information is just now getting out there to the veterinary medical community. So along those lines, what are some good ways that people can learn more?
Well, you and I have both created some really good resources to help educate pet parents. I've written my book, Medical Marijuana and Your Pet, at potforpets.info. And it's been out a couple of years. Gary, I'm really excited to hear about your book.
Well, thank you.
Tell us about it.
So Integrative Healthcare for Dogs and Cats, which is going to be released in just a few months, is a comprehensive look at how to take conventional Western healthcare and complementary and alternative care, including cannabis, and integrate everything together so in order to get better outcomes and really improve both the quantity and quality of lives for our pets.
And, of course, this online course that we're offering with Green Flower Media is an excellent opportunity for you to learn more, because we really go into the details over the several modules, several hours of lessons that we're offering. And don't forget about my blog. It's free, nurseyourpet.com. Learn more about cannabis and cancer and pet hospice and a variety of topics that I think are really important to pets.
Well, it's a really, really great blog.
Thank you.
Well, that's about what we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for your interest in learning about medical cannabis for pets. We hope that you have great success.